Hi everyone, it's me, Spring, the fiber enthusiast, and welcome to my channel. Today's tutorial is going to be how to crochet a bauble as you're working the knit stitch. So we're working a garter stitch pattern here. It's just knitting both sides, back, front, back, front, back, front. And you want to add a bauble to it. You can do it as crochet, believe it or not. So I just cast on about 20 stitches here, and I knitted and knitted and knitted, and then I decided, this looks like a good spot to add a couple crocheted baubles. So you can cast on how many ever you want. It's no certain multiple. You just need to have a few so that way you can work in between a couple stitches somewhere. This is not an actual pattern. This is just a tutorial on how to do a crocheted bauble onto your knitted fabric. So I'm just going to knit over a few stitches. Again, all I've done is knit both sides. So it's the garter stitch. Let me get over a few stitches here. And I'm just using a cotton worsted weight yarn for this example. And some Lion Brand DPN, plastic DPNs. Nothing too exciting here. All right. So I have a worked stitch over here and an unworked stitch over here. Then in between the two is a bar. This right here. I'm going to stick my crochet hook through under that bar, the ladder, and bring the yarn through. So now I'm under that ladder. Okay. Now you're simply going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to yarn over, insert our hook under that same ladder, yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over and go through 2 loops only. You're going to do that until you have a total of 6 loops on your hook. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 3 loops. We're going to do this 3 more times. And make sure and push your work back on your needles so there's quite a bit up here so that way they don't slide off the needles while you're trying to accomplish this. This is one of many, many ways to create a bauble in your knitted fabric. It is one of the probably easiest. All right, so we've got 6 total loops on our hook. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go through all 6 of them loops, and I'm going to give it a good little cinch down, tighten things up, create a larger loop so it doesn't disappear while I'm working my fabric, my worked stitches up onto the needle. I'm going to slide that loop onto the needle that has the worked stitches. Now I'm going to cinch it down onto that. And what we're going to do is pass over the previously worked stitch. Bring it to the end down here. Pick up the last worked stitch and pass it over the top of that loop from the puff stitch. So that loop from the puff stitch is your new stitch. There we go. We got it now. This yarn was wanting to split. And you're going to take your finger and just kind of pop it through right there. Now the next stitch, you're going to want to make sure that that stitch is fairly taut to take up any gaps, if at all possible, on this row. So we're going to go ahead and work to the end of the row, and then I'm going to show you the second row and how to ensure that you close up any gaps that you may have while doing the crocheted puff stitch onto your knitted work. All right, I'm at the end. Turn my fabric over. And I'm just going to start simply knitting over to that puff stitch. Just like this. Okay, and when you've come to the puff stitch, you'll see that there's, you know, a larger gap on either side of it. So we want to get that as closed as possible. So I'm going to scoop my work down here to the tips of my needles. And if you don't work at the tips of your needles, this will definitely help tighten up your stitches around this puff stitch. But I'm going to knit the next stitch right before that puff stitch and get it good and tight. I'm going to slide the puff stitch down, or bobble, not puff stitch, the bobble stitch down, and I'm going to knit it as well down here at the tips of my needles, just to kind of close up these gaps. I'm going to do one more stitch down here at the tips of my needles. There we go. Now that'll help tighten things up and pull that together to keep that bobble from poking through the wrong side. All right, let's finish this row and we'll turn it over and look at it. So here we have a new bobble on our knitted fabric. And if you look at the back, there is a slight indentation, but it takes a lot to get that to pop through because of tightening those stitches down around it. That one's still a little loose because we haven't gone another round. Let's see if I can find that one. Yeah. So they're less likely to pop through the backside without force if you make sure and get those stitches right around it on your next row really tight. So that's it for crocheting a bobble stitch onto your knitted fabric. Now, if you're doing stockinette, it works the same way. Just make sure that your bobble is on the right side, not the wrong side. With garter stitch, both sides look the same, so as long as all your bobbles are on the same side, you're in good shape. But that is it. Be blessed, be a blessing, and until next time, bye for now.